Well, welcome everyone to Alzheimer's Speaks Radio. I'm Laurie LeBay, the host and founder of Alzheimer's Speaks. I am going to tell you a little bit about Alzheimer's Speaks because we're always getting new people before I go ahead and introduce the others here with us today. Bottom line, we're an advocacy-based company providing multiple platforms to shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort around the world. We're also known as a media outlet because of the different types of platforms we have, the blog, the radio, video chats, and so forth that we do. So feel free to check us out at alzheimerspeaks.com. My mom had dementia for 30 years. That's what got me into this space. So I'm just a daughter trying to make a difference. And I truly believe that joining forces and having these everyday conversations like we do here on Alzheimer's Speaks Radio is really what pushes the envelope forward. Getting people excited about the disease and about the possibilities to live better and graciously with it, and get people connected to so many different types of services and products and tools and just thought processes in terms of how are we going to live with the disease. At our core, we also believe collaboration is really important, and we think that's really the only way that we're going to win the battle against the disease. And I can honestly tell you that I know it's working thanks to each and every one of you. You see, your likes, your clicks, your shares have gotten us acknowledged on multiple levels, and that never would have happened without you. And it's critical that we all raise one another's voice because, again, here on Alzheimer's Speaks, it's not about us, it's about all of us. And so if you have dementia and have a story you'd like to tell and share with us, we'd love to hear it. If you are caring for a loved one, maybe you are a business professional that provides a service, a product, a tool, an author, a musician, a playwright, a movie director, a researcher, an advocate. Everybody has been on the show. So, you know, if you've got a new spin, come on in, and we'll go from there. So today I have my beautiful co-host with me, Laurie Scherrer, and all the way from Pennsylvania. And Laurie, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, I'm Laurie Scherrer, and 4 years and 4 months ago, I was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's and FTD, which is frontotemporal dementia. Since then, I've done as much as I can for advocating, helping Laurie on shows, and just trying to spread the word that just because you have dementia does not mean you're dead.
Thank you. I do want to acknowledge just some of our sponsors as well. The Call Alert Center, which helps if you have a loved one who you think might wander, get lost in an area. They do kind of a social media blast and phone blast to really help find them. It's very inexpensive, under $15 a year in that crisis, and they'll work with the police as well. We have the American Senior Magazine, which I love because they're large print and they have great articles. And they also have some games to play to keep your mind busy. And then the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation, which does a great job approaching things from a holistic standpoint. So meditation, exercise, what to eat is just a fantastic resource. So I'm excited to get to our guest today, Dilek Ocal. She is all the way from London, and she's a PhD student, and she has been working with the Dementia Research Centre at the University College of London over in England. And her background is in neuroscience, and she's been involved in this dementia research now for the last 5 years, and she's going to be sharing with us a new app that's out that they have developed that will help people read. So welcome. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for introducing me and for having me on the show. I'm great, and I'm in London, as you've said, and you've pretty much said everything about me. And yeah, I'm excited to talk to you a little bit more about the app that we have made.
Wonderful. First of all, why don't we talk about, because I know with this app, which is called Read Clear, it really focuses on one type of dementia and really helping those with it. A dementia called PCA, or what people refer to it as. Why don't you tell people what PCA stands for and some of the symptoms that people have with this particular type?
Okay, PCA stands for posterior cortical atrophy. PCA is a neurodegenerative disease, and it is characterized by progressive impairment in visual skills, in visual processing skills. Now, PCA can be caused by many different diseases, but its most common cause is Alzheimer's disease, meaning that the proteins that are associated with damage seen in Alzheimer's disease are also the proteins that are associated with damage seen in posterior cortical atrophy. It is a young onset dementia, and usually the age of onset is between 50 and 65 years. And the damage is often starts in the back of the brain, where you have your visual processing system, but also other brain areas that do other things. And so what happens often is that the symptoms are really, really widespread. And to give you an example of first of all, to give you an idea of how widespread these symptoms are, just a few examples. So people with PCA might find it difficult to see things. They might find it difficult to see more than one object when there is many. They might find it difficult to judge distances, or sometimes they will perceive stationary objects as moving. They can also get disorientated. They find it difficult to navigate around. They might find it difficult to differentiate between a background and an object if they have the same color. And then there's also non-visual symptoms, things like finding it difficult to calculate, finding it difficult to spell, or to read and write. So the symptoms are widespread, but memory skills, planning skills, and language skills are often, especially in the beginning of the disease, preserved. They can get worse in some people as the disease becomes more Alzheimer's-like.
Okay. And I would imagine, like most dementias, no two are alike when people have the symptoms, which just complicates it even more. Well, great. Laurie, now, do you know of anybody who has PCA in your work?
I don't know if it's called by such. I mean, I know a number of people that have trouble reading. I have trouble reading, but that's because I have trouble retaining what I read on the page before. I totally forget what I read. But I can't think of anybody that has PCA. So now you've got me curious. I'm going to have to start looking around.
Yeah, well, and it is because I think people kind of glump together, and a lot of times people have more than one type, or our doctors just aren't even familiar enough to get to that point. So I think it's really important about talking about the symptoms and the difficulties related with it, because I think it kind of goes click, click, click. Even with our group today, we were talking about this interview, and when you and I had talked earlier, Dilek, it was interesting because right away I thought of one person in particular who does certain things to be able to read in terms of size and color and things like that. And that was some of what you were talking with me offline with about. And I thought of Michael right away, and yet I don't believe he's diagnosed with this. So I think this will be a really interesting, conversation for people. Can you tell us, what is Read Clear? We know it's an app, but what does it offer?
Okay, so just back to what you had said before about how rare it is and how people don't know much about it. Often what happens as well is because the symptoms are so widespread, and because the age of onset is so young, and because sometimes the symptoms actually mimic other problems. So for example, often what people think is, it's people can't see because it's a problem with the eyes. And because of these things, it can take a long time for people to be diagnosed with PCA. And often individuals go through sometimes months or maybe even a year before they get actually diagnosed with PCA. So it's quite difficult. So Read Clear is an app that we have developed to assist with the reading difficulties that come with PCA. These reading difficulties, they can manifest in different ways. So like you've said before, no one is the same. And so what happens is that sometimes people, when they read, they might get lost on the page. So they'll start with the first line and it's okay. Then they do the second line, it's okay. And then suddenly they're reading the fifth line. And what happens is they then start to realize that the text doesn't make sense anymore. And they try to go back to where they were before, but it can take minutes to find back where you were because you're getting lost on the page. Another one is that text moves and it jumps and it wiggles and it does any type of movement you can imagine. Another thing is that words are perceived the wrong way round. Or again, the background and the font can become difficult to distinguish. So for example, if you're reading a newspaper and the font is black, but the background is gray, it can become difficult to see what is a letter and what is the background. And there's another thing called crowding, where if you have characters that are close to each other, like for example in a word, they suddenly start to become one and it becomes difficult to see the separate letters. And so what we have done is to create an app, because we try to assist with all these different difficulties that might arise. And also because we had done a study beforehand, this was around 2015, to see, are there any difficulties with reading in PCA, and what are they? And we actually found, yes, there are. And so that's one reason why we developed the app. The second one is that we also run a support group in the UK. And we have been told by the members that they experience these difficulties and that it can be a great source of frustration, because they were fine, they don't have real memory problems, they understand the language, but they just can't read anymore. And so that's basically it. That is what Read Clear is. It's an app that we have made in order to assist with that. Just so we want to give people back the feeling that they can still read, that they can still communicate. It's okay, they can still communicate with other people, they can still inform themselves about the world, about what's happening in their localities. They can just do still daily life things, as in reading bills, for example. So anything that has to do with reading, that's what this app does.
Okay. Laurie, do you have any questions?
No, not at this point. It sounds very interesting. So do you do this by adding color to the print, or how does it actually work?
Okay, so first of all, we were very keen to include our participants and their carers in developing the app, because we can know only that much. We can only know what the symptoms might be, but we are not the experts. It's actually the carers and the individuals who have PCA who know exactly what the problem is, and they also know what strategies to use to alleviate these problems. And so that's the first thing. It was very important to us that they are involved in the development of the app. And so what the app in practice does, it allows the user to change text presentation and to change it in a way that it fits their needs. So what happens is that you almost end up with a personalized reading tool. And in practice, that means that people can change background and font color. People can change the size of the font. They can change the font type, but they can also change the way the text looks. So what that means is they can either read page by page, as you would with any book, but they can also read line by line, and they can read word by word. So we were hoping that helps with getting lost on the page. And then when you read line by line, you can also choose how many words you want in the line. And you can also choose how the distance between the space between the lines. Again, we were hoping that helps with the crowding that I spoke about before. You can also choose on which side you want the app to operate from. So whether you want to scroll up and down from the left, or you want to scroll up and down from the right, because that's another problem that some individuals with PCA have. And then also there is another function, which is a voice reading function, meaning that the app actually reads out the text to you. So you don't have to read anymore. And it's available in 3 languages, and you can read books and newspapers.
Now, right now, the newspapers are over in the UK, though.
Yeah.
And so So that would be a difference. Be kind of interesting to hear what you guys have to say with all that's going on over here. And then books, I would imagine, is that through kind of like an Amazon type thing, or?
No, so we have a library that you can download from.
Okay.
And it has different types of different genres, and I don't know how many books there are, but I think we're adding to it as we're going along.
Okay.
You can actually download from the app itself, the books from a bookstore.
Okay. Laurie, did you have a question? I thought I saw you raise your hand.
Do you see this getting to the point that you would be able to use to read other materials somehow by scanning it? Or so if I wanted to read how to pronounce Dilek, I could scan it into the program. Is that something for the future, or is it right now just scheduled to be the books and newspapers that you put into it?
So for right now, it's the books and the newspapers, but we are working on it constantly, and we have many different ideas of which one of them could be the scanning. And another one could also be that you actually write yourself, and then it automatically uploads onto the app or onto the website. But these are future projects, so we are planning on making it better and bigger, and even so that you can do even more things with the app.
Okay. And where is it available through?
Right now it's available on Android, but we're working on Apple Store. So it's not available on iPhones yet, only on Androids, so Samsung tablets and phones basically, or any Google phone or any Google tablet. But it also is available on its own website. So there's a website as well. Okay. And you can download it from there as well.
And is there any cost for the app?
It's for free.
Okay. Okay. And really anybody can upload it. It's not somebody who has to have the PCA specific in order to get it, correct?
No, anyone can download it. And the other thing is that we have made it with PCA participants and individuals, and we have done the clinical trial with PCA participants, but we are hoping that it actually might help with other disorders that also cause reading difficulties that are caused by damage to the brain.
Is it possible to show what the system looks like?
Yeah, definitely. So you can click on here, and then that was newspapers, and then you have all these different headlines, and you can go down. Does it go down? Yeah. Yep. And then you can pick one. And so right now it's word by word.
Okay.
Change it, and these are all the different options you can do. So you can change the reading mode to line by line, right? And as you can see, now you're reading line by line. Okay. So what happens is you go down. 17 injured in a high school. Sorry, I still have the voice enabled. I can turn the voice off. So there we go. Can you see that? So it's the blue line.
Yep. Okay.
But then what you can do is you can actually make the background disappear. So now you can actually just see the line.
Okay.
And you can also make the line go down. Do you see that?
Okay. So you can really customize to what works for you.
It. And then you can also read word by word, as I've shown you before.
Can you change the background color for the line?
For the line itself? Yeah. So we do reading mode. We do line by line. We save that. Then we go to fixation color. And what do you want? Yellow?
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking something that's significantly different in color, because the other two to me blends together where somebody, it might mix more. I think that one stands out more, but that's just me. You know.
You can also change the font color as well.
Okay.
And
Dilek, what is the name of the website?
Read Clear. So it's www.readclear.co.uk.
That's what we're missing. We don't have the co in the UK in the States.
So, I see, because you have just com.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
So I was trying to pull it up, it wasn't working.
Oh, okay. So, it wasn't working. Oh,
No.
.com wasn't working, yeah. So on the website right now, you can download the app, but it won't download it onto your computer. That's also a future that we're going to do. But you could technically attach your phone to your laptop or your computer, and then it's downloaded.
Okay, if you have an Android. Okay.
If you have an Android, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it will, I just want to make sure I'm clear, it will not download onto the computer at this point.
Not right now.
Okay. Okay.
But then we've also, the other thing that I was saying is the voice. It's the voice one.
Mm-hmm.
So if you now go down.
After announcing his intention to run.
It reads the text out to you.
Okay. So, and I saw something where it kind of showed a whole paragraph in a box, and you could kind of move the box in terms of how much you wanted to read, which I thought was interesting too.
Yeah, I can do that.
I think it's interesting, all the options. I remember my mom so wanting to still read and having that habit of reading, and she would sit sometimes even with the newspaper upside down, you know, in that habit of reading, you know, and then I would, you know, gently turn the paper around and stuff, because that was just such a part of her life. You know, she loved doing that every morning.
So this is where you have more lines in the box, and then the box itself moves, as you can see. Because this is, yeah. So you can choose also that. Yeah.
And then you said you can change the spacing as to how tight those lines are and stuff too for people.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting to, you know.
So you can see there that there's a bigger space than usually you would have.
Mm-hmm.
I've already changed it beforehand. Let me just make it even smaller. So I've got it on 5, but you can just have it normal. And so that would be normal spacing.
Okay.
And now different.
Okay.
And then you can also change the side that you're reading from. So right now I'm using the right side, but I can actually change it to left-handed. So then everything now happens on this side.
Okay. That's a good idea. It's a real good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what we found was that when we tried it out and individuals were actually trying the app, sometimes, because it's a symptom of PCA, that sometimes the coordination isn't quite right anymore. When it was just on the right side, people found it difficult to actually tap the screen. And so they told us that it might be easier if they could choose which side they could tap from.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Well, neat. Laurie, do you have any other questions that you have for Dilek?
Dilek, as you're showing it, you showed a paragraph, but it seemed like it was always just reading 3 lines at a time. Can you turn the phone sideways so you can read more at one time, or you limit it to 3 lines at a time?
Oh no, that is because I had chosen 3 lines. So if, for example, so that's 3 lines, but if you wanted more than 3, can you see that? Yeah. So you just go down to here where it says, where is it? It says number of lines in the box, and I have it in 3, but you can go up to 7, 8, 9, 10, and then it reads 10. So then it would have 10 lines in the box.
Okay.
So increase the number of the lines.
Okay.
In the U.S., it's still making the news there, Jeff Sessions. No.
Oh yeah, true. And like I said before, you can also, if you know none of these actually work for you, and you just want to read a page, you can just do page by page.
Okay.
And then what you're doing is just reading as you would normally.
Okay. And then just scrolling. And it does go both ways on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
The scrolling, you mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, you're holding it sideways, but can you hold it upright? And then it would...
You mean this way?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably. I just have, my screen is locked, you see, because I don't like reading it that way. I've never tried that. I don't think it works.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's my phone. On a tablet, it looks more like a Kindle.
Okay.
So it does work on the tablet.
Yes, it works on the tablet and it works on a phone, and the manual and all the training and all that stuff is on the website. And we're working on the website right now.
Okay. Well, very cool. I think what I think on a couple of levels is, one, it's going to get the conversation going on reading, because I think that that's something that isn't always talked about with people. And you know, what is PCA and what are the symptoms? I think it's going to raise some curiosity there, and then also give people a tool, you know, with all of this. So I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Was there anything else that you wanted to share regarding, you know, Read Clear or another project?
Well, we do a lot of projects, so this will take even longer than we already are here. So we do a lot of projects, but what I also definitely wanted to say was that we do have a support group, and we do have some members in America. So, and the support group is free for everyone to get on, and this is a PCA specific support group. And we have every 3 months we have meetings, and we talk about different stuff. We talk about different studies that we're doing at the Dementia Research Centre. We have different workshops and different talks where people from the doctors and the professors, or even just researchers, come and talk about PCA and other forms of dementia during the meetings. And of course, this is all in London, but anyone can log on via Skype or whatever it's easiest for anyone. So if anyone would like also to be part or a member of the PCA support group, more than welcome. Okay.
And how would they go about doing that?
What they would do is they would email my colleague, who is the lead of the PCA support group.
Okay.
And her name is much easier than mine. It's Emma Harding.
Okay.
And her email address is Emma, EMMA, dot Harding, that's HARDING, at ucl.ac.uk.
Okay.
Like, if somebody wanted to contact you about more information on the app, how would we get in touch with you?
So same thing, you can contact me via my email address. That's .ocal
okay.
at ucl.ac.uk.
Wonderful. And we've got the also the link to the school and your Dementia Research Centre there. Will that list, if people are interested to know what other types of projects you're working on, will that give them information on that, or?
Yeah, that will give information on what the different teams do. So what type of research we do, but maybe nothing specific. But there are a lot of contact details and names that you can get from there. Okay. Because as I've said before, there's about 5 teams, and we all work on different types of dementias, especially rare forms and young onset forms of dementia. Okay, great. And then again, for the Read Clear app, they just go to the website, www.readclear.co.uk. Perfect, yes. Correct. Wonderful. And then on there, they have a link that will download the that will take them to downloading the app, and it also has a manual on there.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you again so much for being with us. I
Thank you.
really, truly do appreciate your time with us today. Any last questions from you, Laurie?
Yeah, Dilek, when do you finish with your PhD, and what do you have to do to accomplish that?
Oh, good question. I actually just started. I started in October, and I do a part-time PhD. That means that I do a PhD, but I also work as a research assistant on different studies. And I'm going to finish, hopefully, if everything goes well, in 3 years.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Nice. Well, best of luck with that.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate this. I think with that, we are a wrap then.
Nice meeting you too. Thank you.